quiz is continuing to work on proving two triangles congruent. So 2 things to review with that. First is your triangle congruency theorem. So in order to prove two triangles congruent to one another, you have to use one of these 4. And again, what that means is anytime you see an A in any of those theorems, that means you have 2 corresponding angles that are congruent. So in order to show that, for example, on these triangles down here, these 2 angles correspond. You can see all that's happened is a translation. Because they have an arc mark, that means they're both congruent. You could also have an angle measure. I could say this is 23 degrees and this angle is 23 degrees. So that's an example of a pair of corresponding congruent angles. So if you have that, that counts as an A in any of these theorems. Secondly, in these theorems, you see there is S's. So the S stands for a side. So same thing, 2 corresponding sides that are congruent. So again, same thing, that can be done with marking. So both of these have 1 tick mark, so that counts as an S. Or it could have a measurement. So I could say this side is 4 centimeters and so is that side. So that's how you get your S's and your A's. Then the order of these do matter. So for example, angle, side, angle means I've got 2 angles and a corresponding side. So I've got a pair of corresponding angles right here, a second pair of corresponding angles up here at the top, and then a pair of corresponding sides because of that tick mark. Again, it's important that you have a tick mark or a number because in order for triangles to be congruent, that means they're the same size and same shape. So that tick mark lets me know that the size has not changed between the 2 triangles. It keeps the exact same size. Another one I want to look at, we're going to look at side, angle, side. So again, what's important about both of these is that they are corresponding. So for side, angle, side, if I knew 2 tick marks, an arc mark, and a side. So that works because this angle is included. It's in between these 2 sides. If I come over here and I move this angle, yes, I still have 2 sides that correspond and 2 angles that are congruent, but these 2 angles don't correspond. It's in a different location. So this angle on my first triangle is right in between the 2 tick marks and 1 tick mark, but my angle on the second triangle is not in that same location. So these would not be congruent because we don't have enough information. That angle, that corresponding, is missing. So in order to use SAS, we have to have at least 1 pair of corresponding angles, and we're missing that on this one. And then the last thing I want to remind you of is those 4 congruency theorems are the only ones that you can use. So for example, if I gave you this picture here and this picture here, everything does correspond. So I have a pair of sides that correspond, I have a second pair of corresponding congruent sides, and I have a pair of corresponding congruent angles. However, this is SSA. The only one with 2 S's and an A is right here. And again, that angle has to be included in between. Because this angle is not included, then this does not work. This does not count as side, angle, side because that angle is not included. So this one would also be not congruent because it doesn't follow one of our 4 theorems that we have.